All right, y'all. We are so close to the end of Revelation chapter, the book of Revelation. It's crazy. We literally have one more day. Today we're in 21. It's only 22 books, 22 chapters. Okay, so the breakdown of the book of Revelation. What does Revelation chapter 21 mean? For the time described midway through Genesis chapter 3 until the events of Revelation 20, earth experienced the presence of sin and death. At the end of chapter 20, John sees God delivering the final and ultimate judgment on Satan, casting all evils into the lake of fire. At this point, creation will finally be free from everything wicked, and what follows is a description of a remade, restored earth. Following the great white throne judgment of chapter 20, John sees a new heaven and a new earth. Scholars debate whether this means that all of creation will be destroyed and remade, or that God will recondition creation. The terminology used seems to suggest a renewal. John sees the new city of Jerusalem descending onto the earth, and voices celebrating the restored relationship between God and man. In particular, John hears the voice from the throne declare an end to suffering, pain, and death for all eternity. At the same time, John hears a reminder that sin and those who choose it over God are condemned to the second death of hell. And that's Revelation chapter 21, verses 1 through 8. John attempts to describe the New Jerusalem in terms others can understand. In doing so, he mentions precious materials such as gold and jasper, but associates them with properties those materials don't normally have. Gold, for instance, is not normally clear, and neither is jasper. This is John's struggle in explaining what he sees. A modern person might say they saw smoke that looked like the transparent lead, that looked like transparent lead, and those hearing it will understand the mixture of two separate ideas. Here, John does something similar in this effort to describe the indescribable, and that's Revelations 21, verses 9 through 21. John also points out that there is no temple in this new city, since there is no need for a temple. Temples, priests, and rituals are all necessary when man is somehow separated from God. Two people speaking face to face do not need telephones or letters. Those living in direct communion with God won't need a temple. Okay. This description also re-emphasizes the perfect holiness of this new Jerusalem and the fact that only those who put their faith in Christ will be found there. Revelations 21, verses 22 through 27. Revelation 22 is the final chapter of the New Testament. There, John will complete his description of the New Jerusalem and give some final words to those who read this text. Okay, so chapter context. Leading up to this chapter, all sin and evil have been entirely defeated. Satan is banished to hell along with every person who rejected Christ, as seen in chapter 20. Here, John describes the nature of the New Jerusalem, the heavenly city which descends onto earth after the ultimate victory of evil. Chapter 22 is a further description of its perfect eternity and last messages from Jesus to those who read John's words. So, I do my part two of the breakdown. Revelation 21 describes the new heaven and new earth, signifying a complete renewal and restoration of all things. It focuses on the New Jerusalem, a holy city coming down from God, symbolizing the dwelling of God with humanity. This chapter emphasizes the end of suffering, death, and mourning, and the eternal reign of God with his people. So, the breakdown. New heaven and new earth. Revelation 21, 1 through 2, verses 1 through 2, introduces a vision of a renewed creation where the old heaven and earth pass away and a new perfect creation takes their place. New Jerusalem. The New Jerusalem, described as a bride adorned for her husband, descends from heaven, signifying God's presence and dwelling with the humanity. excuse me, with humanity, not with humanity. God's dwelling with his people. Verse 3 highlights the central theme. God dwells with his people, and they will be his people. Plain and simple, right? End of suffering. Revelations 21 and verse 4 promises the ultimate end of suffering, death, mourning, crying, and pain. The Alpha and the Omega. Yes. Verse 6 reiterates God's eternal nation, declaring himself the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. Overcomers. Those who overcome will inherit God's blessing, becoming his children. That is so beautiful. The fate of the wicked. Revelations 21 and 8 outlines the fate of the unrepentant, those who are cowardly, unbelieving, and immoral, who will face the second death. No temple. The New Jerusalem has no temple, as God and the Lamb are its temple. Come on now. Light of the city. The city is illuminated by God's glory, and there is no need for a sun or moon. Nations and kings. The nations and kings of the earth will bring their glory and honor into the city. And then last but not least, purity of the city. The city is described as pure and holy, with no impurity or anything that defiles. I like that. I like that for today. That's good. All right, y'all. So that is all I have for the breakdown of the book of Revelation, chapter 21. Like I said, tomorrow is chapter 22, the last one. But y'all already know I have the next book planned. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.